Hey, it's your girl Abby, aka New Age Coach here, and I am lighting the way for those on their way to the light. And to my soul vibers, that is those of you who are already subscribed, thank you. Anyone new just tuning in on this channel, we talk all things self and soul development. So if you like that vibe and want to join the tribe, hit subscribe. Also, if you're new to this series overall of Coaching New Age Coach, what it is intended to do is introduce you all to other just amazing, fantastical human beings, such as yoga instructors or spiritual healers or entrepreneurs or other YouTubers like our guest today, where they are just lighting their own way, doing their own thing in this world to make it a much more beautiful place just by being them. So before we actually formally introduce this guest of the day, I want to share some of her work with you so you can get a feel for the amazing person we're about to connect with. So let's actually hop into the show reel, and I'll see you on the other side with our guest.
All right, everyone, I am so excited to formally introduce you to Judy, who is on screen here, and she is the face and the name behind the YouTube channel Mountain Rain. And Judy sitting before us, she is a singer, she is a guitarist, she is an artist, she is a visionary, she is a channeler, she is a woman of so many gifts and talents that I'm like, hey, can you share some with these other people out here like me? She has so many. And among those two, she is also a published author. And Judy, thank you so much for joining the channel today to talk about all of those things with us. I really appreciate it. Your YouTube channel is called Mountain Rain, and I think that's beautiful. But what's behind the name Mountain Rain? How did that come to you?
Well, I'm Judy, Mountain Rain, and happy to see everybody. That came, okay, this started like many years ago. If anybody remembers MySpace.
I'm going to pretend I don't, but I do.
That was way before Facebook, and and I just wanted to share a lot of like beautiful music, not that I played, but beautiful music I would listen to, and I would share it online, and I would share it, and I started my name out as Mountain Rain. And the reason I did that was because I'm from Colorado originally. I'm from the western slope of Colorado. I grew up near the mountains, outdoorsy, fishing, hunting, all of this stuff, you know, growing up. And I just love the mountains. And the rain to me was like so refreshing. And I just feel spiritually like mountains are so refreshing. They have a lot of energy in them.
Absolutely.
To me, that was like, to me, I could just feel the energy from growing up. And so being near the mountains, being out in the rain, near water has a lot of energy for me. And anyway, that's where Mountain Rain.
And you stuck with it ever since.
And I did, ever since MySpace.
That's beautiful. And you talk about growing up in Colorado,
right?
And you mentioned about spirituality and kind of energy in the mountains and in the air and in the water. I absolutely agree. And speaking about just spirituality overall, and tying that into your childhood. What kind of experiences, like when did you start tapping really into and empowering this idea of spirituality or understanding it a little bit more throughout your journey? That might be a loaded question, but whatever comes to mind for like how you really started to think, wow, there's something bigger going on here.
Right. Well, ever since I was young, bringing up the story when my father passed away when I was 4 years old. That was the first spiritual experience I ever had. And when you're that young, you think everything's normal. It's like, okay, you see dead people, that's normal. But you just don't know. You know what normal is and what normal isn't. So
I still don't.
What is normal? So I remember my dad had passed away. The thing is, I didn't know he had passed away. That's just it. And I knew he was sick. And when you're that young, you kind of know what death is and you kind of don't. You don't realize when something dies, it's just gone for the rest of your life, on this plane anyway. So my father passed away when I was 4, and it was in the hospital. He passed away in the hospital. That's why we didn't know, because he was very sick. Us younger ones anyway. The older ones kind of discussed it and that. I remember everybody being in the living room crying, and I had went to take a nap. And they didn't really discuss it with us little ones. So I remember laying in bed and just trying to, sleep. The next thing I know, my father is sitting on the bedside next to me, and he tells me, it's okay, honey, you're going to see me again. And I just remember looking at him, feeling a very beautiful feeling of love, and him just kind of vanishing right in front of me. So it was at that point to where, I can't remember exactly what happened after that. I just know that experience was the first thing that kind of told me that there was something more to life,
Oh, beautiful. Oh my gosh.
That's my life. I've been seeing things.
Yeah.
But yeah. And I also saw my mother after she passed away as well. She passed away when I was 28, and she came to me. Probably, I think it was 3 days after she passed away. And there's this space that I come into. It, I call it twilight time. It's kind of between when we're asleep and we're awake.
Yep.
Everybody always, I hear people say, well, you were just dreaming. But there's a difference between dreaming and being awake. And it's almost like, even though that could be a part of it, I think what it is we're letting something come through that we wouldn't normally do in our waking hour.
Absolutely.
So during that time, it was like, I saw my mother standing at the foot of my bed, and she was dressed, I know exactly what she was dressed in. She was dressed in this little vest, this little blue vest she used to always wear. And she didn't speak, but I heard her thoughts, and I felt her thoughts. Like, honey, she told me, okay, I'm going to cry. She told me, honey, I'm with my babies. Because she had lost, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Thank you for sharing the story.
Anyway, she lost 2 babies. Stillbirth.
So she let you know everything was beautiful. She was with her baby. She was happy. They're together, and that there's life on the other side. It's so beautiful.
And throughout,
was that the last time they came to you, or do you usually have a couple experiences that you hold to yourself, or was that the only time that happened?
Those were the 2 physical experiences I had with my parents. I've had feelings when they come into the dream state, and that's totally different from like a waking state where I was actually awake, sitting up in bed, seeing this.
It literally gave me goosebumps the whole time you were talking, and I use goosebumps as my guide, as like, wow, like when I get goosebumps, I feel that's the core of me, and that was really personal to share. So thank you for that, and I think that's
it's like, I don't share it with just everybody. It's very, like you said, it's very personal.
Yeah.
We all have those personal moments where, unless there's a moment we feel that would possibly help somebody else, or
exactly.
No, that's the only time.
Something that someone needs to hear too on their path. And I think I love when you said you don't know what's normal or not, right? Because it's so true. And I opened up this video talking about all of your different gifts, and really, those are gifts. It's really not normal. I mean, technically everyone has obviously this divinity. They can tap into this. It's a power that we all have. It's a healing technique we all have if we're open, like you said, to receive it. But at the end of the day, they're still spiritual gifts. So it's something to cherish and not be scared from or run from or try to hide. There's such beautiful lessons and moments in that, just like those stories you shared. And another thing I wanted to ask about that kind of ties to that is how you orchestrate your YouTube videos. Like, your videos have so much power to them, and sometimes they don't even have words, which is even the magic in it. Sometimes you just put all of these visuals in a montage, you have music to it. Sometimes you're the one singing behind the scenes to it. Sometimes it's just songs that come to you, but they're orchestrated in such a way that they just tell the most beautiful stories in a few minutes, and you're just watching it like, what? How did she do that? And I think I asked you this before on the side, but just for our people on the channel to maybe get the feel for that process. Is it a process of channeling? Is it a process of visions? How do you get these ideas and inspiration for the videos and the way you decided to compile and share your messages that way?
Well, it goes back to when I was young, of course, a lot of it does, and the feeling that comes along with it. Since growing up, I have been and some of the stuff I might not have shared with you ever or anybody, but I have been a very introverted person most of my life, where I found my joy in my imagination. And with that, it's like sometimes I enjoyed being alone more than I did being with other people. And the reason being is because my imagination is just crazy.
If your videos are any indication, I love your imagination.
But I found comfort in my imagination. And also there is what I found to be a wisdom within myself. Well, when you're young, you don't know that. When I was young, I just found that there was something there that I could tap into that I couldn't tap into connecting with people. I don't know if that makes any sense or not.
It makes sense.
But I remember when I was young, I had this reoccurring dream of walking through a desert, and there were like, I hate to say like burnt bodies and people like moaning and walking around in this dry desert.
Like zombies?
Yeah. So I remember I was trying to get out of that desert because it was very sad and very lonely and very just nothing.
Yeah.
There was nothing to offer. So I remember looking up into the sky, and the way I had to get out of it was I had to put these pictures together in the sky. It was like TV screens.
So I'm literally just moving them. That's how your videos are too. Yeah.
TV screens. It's kind of like on that one show. I don't know what it's called. I can't even remember the name, but the guy's moving the pictures around trying to put them into place. And that's what I was doing. I was trying to put these, and I just had this feeling within me that I had to put them into place because that was the code on how to get out of that place. So the code on how to get out was I was putting these pictures in place, and I could get out into this whole new realm of like love. And that's what I was looking for. I was looking for that feeling, and it was almost like a feeling involved in that. And years later, I just actually just this past year, because I hate to jump around, but I have to go back.
For sure.
When you get into when I'm in life, I take it as a feeling, because most of the things that we're searching for, that I feel that we're searching for, is the feeling within something. It's not necessarily a material thing, but it's what that material thing is going to give to you as a feeling.
100%.
So as I'm old, as I'm here now in my 50s, this is when
you look great. Who knows?
I remember that feeling. We remember how we remember feelings, we remember smells, we remember certain things, and they bring back that feeling. Well, here I am putting together these videos, and it all seemed so familiar, and I couldn't quite connect. And I'm thinking, this feels like deja vu. And I couldn't connect it, and I couldn't connect it. And I was getting, as I got more into my videos, there was a particular video I did, and as I was doing it, that was the same pictures. Okay, really weird, because back then we had no internet. And this was back in the 80s. So I'm getting this feeling now, being, later on. This feeling feels so deja vu-ish. So and then I just, all of a sudden, this mental thing and this spiritual thing inside of my physical body clicked.
It's like that instant, like you can't even.
Holy cow! It was like whoosh! It took my brain to that moment, back to those dreams, that reoccurring dream that I had, and I'm like, holy cow! And I actually started crying because I connected. Yeah. And anyway.
I think it's beautiful because there's a few things I take from that. One is a spiritual lesson of just, I mean, it's so cliche, but it's true. It's like how time, while an illusion, I'm just talking about time right now in this 3D space, is the key, right? Like there are certain things that happen to you in your life that are just little breadcrumbs that you don't actually know what to do with at the time, but then in some grand moment, it synchronizes, right, for you, and it hits you, and it's this instant knowing. So I think that's a beautiful lesson for everyone watching, is that patience and that natural unfolding in the evolution of this process. You're not going to know like everything in a moment. That's part one. And the other beautiful thing I heard you talk about is just the symbolism overall for you, right? Even being the shy, introverted person and not really feeling connected and having these visions and not knowing what to do with it, and kind of piecing it in these visions of pieces together. It's almost like that was doing what you're doing out in the world now, the physical manifestation of videos showing that. Like that actually happened in your own self, to be able to use your own power, your own voice, to step out of that comfort zone and kind of grow into your own. The code is love. So you have to show yourself love and get out of that comfort zone too. So like you are your own beautiful masterpiece too in the process of making this beautiful art. So I think, there's so much symbolism in every single thing that we touch or do in this life and in spirituality and the journey. And it is about just trusting that natural unfolding of it and listening to it so that we create this beautiful life inside and out, just the physical manifestation of your videos,
Holy cow, you said very negative.
No, I think sometimes it's hard for you going through it too, like while like I'm speaking from personal experience, it's like I can talk about all this till I'm blue in the face about what I've done, what I've experienced and all that stuff, and it's hard to translate that to other people because it's a feeling specific to you. So as much as you try to convey the power in it, the magic in it, and get everyone on board, ultimately we're all just having our own individual experiences out there. And it's hard sometimes to connect those dots for other people. And it's nice if you have a situation where you get to speak on platforms like this and connect with people, because the way I hear your story, I can project it back to you in a way that you haven't been able to kind of take your own step back to see in yourself, So that's the beauty in connecting in this journey too, is you're able to see yourself through other people's lenses, since we're also separate in the sense of we're doing our own thing, even though we're all one and connected. But it's really that coming back and connecting part that is that reflection of each other.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Well, you made me see it in a whole new way now. That's really, that's really quite fascinating, Abby.
Thank you. Sometimes it comes to me. See, sometimes it comes to me.
Yeah. So, and the thing with this feeling, the feeling of it, and that's what I'm getting just this late in life and understanding it. It does take time to understand it. It's almost like our physical body kind of has to merge with our spiritual body, in a sense. And if it's, looking back, I can see how I was disconnected from that. My physical body was disconnected from the spiritual, but yet they were fighting to work together. I just didn't understand that at the time.
It's
as
so
I'm
true.
older, I'm understanding that it just takes time for each of us are so individual and unique. It takes time for that physical part of ourself to merge with this spiritual part of ourself. And in my journey at this time, that is the biggest part of my spiritual journey, is that merging. That's what I feel like's happening right now. I feel like I'm able to connect. My physical body is actually able to connect with my spiritual body right now. And
that's the other thing from even your kind of zombie story. I was saying I think there's a larger, even collective lesson. Like I think a lot of people are going through what you're going through now and stepping into the understanding of this merging that we're calling it, or ascension symptoms, or realizing there's something bigger happening collectively where people are waking up. We're not being zombies anymore. We're not just succumbing to our subconscious patterns and programming. Like people, like that zombie, visual you painted for us of people just walking around dead, like on the outside, just asleep, unconscious, just, going through the motions. That whole visual is so beautiful to me, because when we think about the collective purpose and, even what we're trying to do on YouTube, and it doesn't necessarily have to be about spirituality or religion and all this stuff, because people can get so caught up in their heads around like those words and semantically like those types of things, but It's about snapping out of it ultimately and understanding, like you said, just alignment, whatever alignment means to you, understanding that there's so much more to this universe and world that is just like us being here, and we need to be able to connect all those dots. And as you do that for yourself, we're all helping each other like in that process, and not zombies anymore. It comes down to love. I think one of your biggest messages I get from all your channels is love. Like it's so simple yet so hard and complicated.
Right. Love. I mean, we always think of love as this foo-foo thing. A lot of people, oh, it's love, it's foo-foo, it's the fluffy and it's nice.
Yes.
But on the other hand, I'm getting into this place within my being where I'm finding that love is probably the most strongest force that we have in this universe. And it actually, in my opinion, I think it's the only force in this universe that's holding everything together.
I would agree with that.
I think that within the state of being that we are right now, and in the physical aspect of it, and the connection of it, I think we get glimmers of what love is at times and the force it is. I mean, we can see it in everything. We can see it in music, in songs, we can see it in television, in movies. We can see it in within our lives, within family dynamics. It's like, come on, people, that's what
it's the only real thing, right? In a world that we don't even know what's real or not, that is the only real truth, kind of. And I agree with your perspective there. Switching topics a little bit, because it's kind of a good segue where you talk about finding love in all of those types of things. And I think you're a great example of showing love, right? Because the way your voice comes out of your mouth, like, number one, anyone listening to you singing, like, if they don't know what love feels like, I'm directing them to your channel so that they can hear you sing to understand first what love sounds like. That's number one. But in seeing your painting and again your work, it is that feeling of love, and you can feel the love that you put into all of that exudes like from it. And I think that's beautiful. And you're a woman of many talents, which is what I keep saying. And to segue, one of those other talents outside of singing and your YouTube videos and kind of all the stuff we've touched on high level, you are a published author. You have your own book called The Clearing. And I want to tell everybody on this channel, first is I will put the links in the description of where you can purchase this book. And I kind of just wanted to read first. I'll put it up on the screen so they can see a copy of what the cover looks like in the back. And I kind of just wanted to read the little blurb on the back that gives context as to what the book's about. And then I would love to hear it from you, which is so cool to get to talk to the author, to get your perspective on what this is about, how it came to be, just your inspiration for it. So for everyone watching, the back of the book starts saying, "An ugly pit of darkness in here. What mysteries do they hold?" Young Eva Carson faces these questions a long summer in May, visiting her grandparents' cabin on the majestic Grand Mesa in Colorado. Her reality is questioned when she's confronted by numerous unexplained phenomena embarking upon her stable life. She is soon engulfed in a torrent of mysteries and struggling for a sanity she believes she already possessed. All is chaos when she soon discovers life is massive question mark of fear, but all questions are answered at one time or another. I mean, if that doesn't make you want to go read the book, I don't know who you are. I don't know who you are. But it seems so captivating, and I see some of the references even in just our conversation already about you being a young girl growing up in Colorado, some of those spiritual experiences you had early on. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your inspiration, how long it took you to get this book published, the ups and downs of that process, and just about the story from your perspective.
Sure. when I started this book, I actually started it when I was 14 years old, the same age as the girl in the book. So it's a simple story. You only have a handful of characters in the story, and I did it exactly for that purpose. I wanted it to be an intimate story. It's simple. I mean, if anybody reads this, it'd probably take them a day to read it. I mean, it's simple, but within the story, which I didn't find out until recently finishing it, it's encoded. And I don't want to cry again, but it is encoded, and it's encoded with messages, with between the lines, you might say. And even the chapters are coded. And this book was totally brought to me through spirit.
Yes.
And each chapter. And I could not continue a chapter until it came to me through spirit. Mm-hmm. And it took a lifetime to do. And it took, I won't say a lifetime, my life isn't over yet. But
yeah, I hope not.
It started when I was 14. I finished it when I'm 50. And it kind of, you have that progression throughout the book of the different facets of where her mind was at. And so you'll catch that in the book. And the fact that there is a between physicality and spirit. So you have the physical aspect and the spiritual aspect coming together, encoded in the book. I'm not going to give anything away.
Yeah. But you do, start with spoiler alert.
And I did want to connect. I'm not a religious person, but I am a spiritual person. But I did grow up in a Christian family, and this book has a lot to do with connecting Christianity to soul and spirit. And what the book does is it delves into the aspects of how we confine ourselves within a particular religion or culture, judging kind of others the way they lead their lives, if it's not within a certain construct. But as we know, Jesus taught us differently, that we must love everybody else as ourselves. So I'm just trying to connect the spirituality and what the Spirit has shown me, that to find that true power in what Christianity was trying, that Jesus was trying to teach us within that. And of course, everybody is very unique, and their perception on things is very different. This book might not be for everybody, but I think for some people that might resonate with, that's who it's for, within that construct of it. So anyway.
How many times have you read your book yourself?
How many times have I read it?
Yeah.
I did a lot of, I've read it quite a bit, because you know what, I did not have a publisher to do this. This was a self-published book. And I'm not going to claim to be any kind of fantastic, like, author. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to say that there isn't any mistakes in the book. What I've come to understand, that this life is not about perfection to me.
Absolutely. Say it again. Say it again.
Nothing about my life is perfect.
And that's the beauty in it.
And
that's honestly where the beauty happens.
Holy cow, if I had to say that I tried to be perfect in my life, I would have gotten nothing accomplished. Nothing.
Absolutely.
Because I am probably a very big perfectionist within myself, just in the art that I put out myself. But if I just couldn't allow myself to just say, it's going to be what it is, just let it go. Mm-hmm. And this past year has been the biggest, where I just said, I'm just going to let it go. Let it go, girl.
I love it.
I'm just going to let it go.
I love it. I heard a quote that I loved, which ties into that. I don't even know if it's a quote, but you know how everyone always says, ready, aim, fire, right? That's the thing that everyone does. Ready, aim, fire. I learned, no, we have it backwards. It's actually supposed to be ready, fire, aim. Like, actually just get ready, fire, shoot your shot, and life will show you the aiming after. Like, you have to just be committed to just taking that shot, jumping in. It's not about the perfection. So we've got it backwards. Ready, I just forgot it. Ready, fire, aim. That's the new message, and what you talked about, it ties into like that whole idea of perfectionism. And I think that's so true. We get so wrapped up, and then that's when we get stuck in our own heads and that mental processing and the delays in action and the getting just caught up, which leads to all these rabbit holes that you'll always get to your path, undoubtedly, but it's like you could take the path of least resistance if you just loosened up the grip a little bit on yourself, gave yourself some compassion, gave yourself some leeway. It's not about perfectionism. It's about the message. It's about the intent. It's about the energy you're putting in, the love you're putting into something. It will find its way to the people who need whatever it is you're putting out there, perfect or not.
For sure. What I'm figuring out right now is that is the biggest aspect of this journey. It's not about being perfect at all. It's about finding that something inside of you that those gifts and that potential inside. And you know what? That potential inside of each of us is so amazing. And I within myself, even now, I know there's potential in there that I can almost taste it. I mean, it's hard to describe. It's almost like it's palpable. It's almost like
I know exactly what you mean.
I wish I could just reach in and pull it out and say, you know, I can feel it there, and I know there's something there, and I know there's something I'm supposed to grasp. Just like when I was doing the visuals, like when I was young, I didn't know what that grasping was quite then, and it's almost like now I still feel like there's something there, and it has nothing to do with perfection either. It's something that's very unique and individual in each person, and they know what that something is, and they can feel it. And I feel like I can feel it, and I feel like everybody else can too. I mean, that's
what I'm saying.
It's about perception.
Also, I think the joke that I talked to you before, it was like you actually want to, when you feel that feeling yourself, there's this urge to, like, we talked about taking it out and just like giving it to everybody. It's not perfection. It's about the sharing in it, where you're like, can you just have this? Like, I have this beautiful, amazing thing, and it's like so amazing. I just want to like physically give it to everybody. Like, come on, people, like it's time. And that's why it's not about perfectionism. It's just getting it out there because it's in that sharing, in that connectedness. And I think I just commend you, Judy. For everyone that doesn't know, I mean, you're all about sharing and connecting people. You just made a YouTube spotlight video, for example, where you just reached out and highlighted all of these up and coming YouTubers who have such great messages, great light to share, their own unique journeys and paths that they're sharing, their vulnerabilities, their imperfections. Nothing's perfect for any of these channels or all of us, but what is perfect is we all now are connected, and we're finding the people that we need to be connected with to start lighting up other people and sharing that thing that we can feel with each other. And I think that's been a beautiful thing as part of, you know, witnessing your journey too in the time that I've known you. So thank you for doing that too.
Yeah, I think connecting with other people is, for me right now in my life, I think I had to connect with myself first. I'm getting gifts from them and just kind of adding them to my own, and it's such a wonderful like putting the puzzle together.
You mentioned like high themes through this conversation naturally in terms of what you feel like your quest is right now and what you're learning your mission is right now, but how would you sum that up, like putting it all together? What is it that you feel so called to do right now that you kind of put some of those puzzle pieces together and you're sitting here today and getting to look back at these 50 years?
Well, right now, just connecting with my personal soul journey, getting in touch with that soul journey, like I said, taking that myself and that spiritual part of myself, I now feel like it's merging and that I'm understanding more than I ever thought I would. I never even thought this place within myself where I'm at consciously, because I feel like my unconscious is becoming conscious of the journey. And I could say, oh, gee, you know, with my book and all this, my art and all this stuff, that's just it. It's just stuff. All of it's just stuff. This is in my book. It's just stuff. But what is behind it is the feeling. It's the feeling in it. And that's just it, connecting. It's the feeling within the journey that's the most important thing. And the feeling that you bring into your soul, because what you're going to bring into the next life and that next incarnation is not the things. It's not this. It's not my artwork. It's the feeling I put into it. That's all you're going to take with you. That's it.
That's it. What do you think has been the most challenging part so far of your just personal evolution and journey through, like you mentioned, growing up in a religious family, but not so much believing in religion, more spiritual, or has that been a challenge? Or like, what's your biggest kind of looking back, like, wow, that was a hurdle, or that's still a challenge for me today?
Well, that's a lot of stuff I'm coming into right now. Is the biggest challenge I feel within myself is the understanding that I am totally responsible for my thoughts, my actions, everything I do with my life, that no one else in this world, no matter what they do or say to me, anything they say, anybody in my life, anybody that I meet on the street, they have nothing to do with my reality and what I create within my reality or my thought process. Anger, sadness, happiness, all of those things is up to create within myself and to bring out into the world. I would say the ultimate hurdle in my life is coming to that understanding, because
that's hard. It's hard because you grasp between your humanness and that divinity too, where you don't sometimes allow yourself that leeway or forgiveness when you are having anger or being annoyed, or really like, you're a spiritual person, like, why are you doing this or this? You sometimes get caught up in that too, where it's hard to reconcile, like, that person didn't make me angry. No one can make me angry. Only I can make myself angry. And you don't want to hear that about yourself when you're in an angry moment. Like, no, I want to like punch this wall. Like, I know that I don't want to hear that I'm responsible right now. But like, it's just that balance on this journey of being your human self and allowing those emotions still, because it's part of this journey. But that understanding of true looking at it like, but I do control that. So how do I get better at that control? That's a great answer. That's a really, really good answer. And I still struggle with that every single day, multiple times a day.
Exactly. And I think that as long as you're in this body, you're going to struggle with it. I think as long as all of our souls are here, and I really do believe that that is one of the biggest reasons we came here, is to come to this understanding and the hurdles that we have in front of us, and confronting those hurdles head on. It's like the biggest fear, it's the biggest unknown, is how am I going to handle myself in that situation? That's the biggest unknown.
What do you do in your free time? So we know, again, you are an artist, you create these amazing videos, that you have written a book, that you play guitar, that you sing, that you have your hands in multiple different pots. So is that what you do in your free time, is make all that? Or is there a separation when you think of stuff like that? Or what does free time mean to you, just for your own spiritual sanity and growth?
That's actually a funny question for me. Well, the thing is, I can't pinpoint anything in my life. Like, I am just a jumble of whatever makes me happy in the moment. And I'm like, okay, because I can bounce from one thing to the next thing to the next thing, as you can tell with everything that I do.
I didn't get that impression at all. I didn't.
I love to like play around. I like to play around with things. But that is the things I do like to do is write, and I do like to paint and draw, and I actually made these earrings.
I need your earrings; they're beautiful.
Well, I make jewelry. I sell, I don't know if I show you. I don't know. I'll do that later. But,
no, show me. What do you need to show me? We need to show the people. This is the point of this call.
I have a little story before I show you this really quick. And I used to work in long-term care. I worked in long-term care 25 years off and on, and in between having babies. So busy. I wanted the whole schmugdoodle.
You've done it all. Like, I wasn't joking when I said a woman of many talents and things and jobs and careers. Wow.
I decided when I came to this incarnation, I was just going to do it all. Anyway, so between working in long-term care and having babies, my biggest thing was in long-term care, I worked with Alzheimer's patients, and my spiritual aspect kicked in, and I just love working with people like that, because we come into the understanding within the physical aspect of us, that when we lose somebody with Alzheimer's disease and their memories are gone, and all we see is this shell of a person, which is what we think we see.
Yeah.
But on the spiritual side of it, and the spiritual aspect of it, is that their spirit and soul is totally intact. And they're total recording, because we're recording all this information within our soul, and the feeling, like I said, that's the only
That's a beautiful way to look at that.
But working with Alzheimer's and dementia has been just a passion of mine. Is still a passion of mine, I should say.
It's so funny. That's beautiful. It's like, how you just said, you never know the messages, what you're meant to share, who it's going to touch. And there's a certain person who I know will be watching this video who is very close to our family, and they have a family member who has Alzheimer's dementia, and have made it very clear that this channel has helped them reconcile kind of that, and that even when that person is watching our videos, that there's that recall and recording, which is such hope. But I know that this message is going to touch a special person watching this video on how to shift perspectives to really know that there's still that spiritual aspect happening, and that, everything's being recorded, and that feeling, which we talked about, it's all about that feeling that travels with you. Like, that was it. As soon as you said that, I got goosebumps. I was like, okay, I know the point of this video now, and exactly who's going to watch this and need that.
I want to just add this, that my spirit showed me much of what Alzheimer's is and why it's there, and it's here to be a tool for us as for our spiritual growth. I'm gonna cry. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's an emotional topic.
The spiritual growth in it for me, and what I was being taught, was that our memories do not make us who we are. Sorry.
No, it's okay. I just don't want to cry with you. So
okay. I'm a very sensitive person. I'm sensitive.
We're just going to be crying for the next 10 minutes. Like, we get that. Sorry, we'll be back.
Okay. Deep breath. Our memories do not make us who we are. Within the spiritual realms, memory is actually different than what we think memory is. The memories within this linear time that we live in, within the physicality, is totally different from memory within the spirit. Memory within the spirit is more of feeling, whereas memory within linear time is just that. It's linear. It's click, click, click. We're born into this world. We have all these experiences. We store them in this memory system, which we call the brain. And that's what makes us who we are, personality. But that's not it. It doesn't make us who we are. Our soul is recording everything that has to do with love. Love is the only thing that the soul records. It's the only thing it brings back.
And I know the person watching this knows that too. And even just the way you said that, we come to that same conclusion. So I can't wait to talk to her after this video goes live. But thank you for actually sharing that, because see, every time you say something, you might not know why you're saying it or doing it. It's an overall spiritual lesson, right? When we talk about intuition and following that little intuitive nudge. Sometimes you go to say something and it literally just falls out of your mouth, and you're like, why the heck did I just say that? Or you want to take a right turn, even though logistically, you should be going left. Like, these are the moments that we all need to pay attention to, because we're not going to know sometimes who it's for, what it's for, but it is for something. Like, that is the essence of faith. Like, overall, when we talk about whatever word you use, like God, religion, spirituality, whatever, I keep this week coming back to this theme of faith. It's been in a book I'm reading or listening to. It's been around just obviously a concept of this channel, but it's faith, because so many people can be turned off by just words that we use as humans, that divide us. But really, it's common principles that unite us, and it is of love is a common principle. It is of faith that is the common principle. We're all saying it differently, but it's all the same underlying current with those two things. So I wish we could all understand it from like that same perspective, even though we have different ways of sharing it,
Right. Exactly. And everybody can understand it in a different form of way. Nobody can feel someone else's feelings. What we can do is try to understand that and come into that compassion within us to say, I'm going to try to understand this the best I can. Although this person is what does not appear to be here anymore, which is just personality of that person. And what made the personality of that person was the memories. But they are still there and they still feel love. So I'm just going to share with you really quick what else I do, and that has to do with Alzheimer's. As I make these, I don't know if you can see it.
I can see it. I can see it.
It's called a fidget blanket.
Oh, a fidget blanket? What?
You lay it on their lap, and because they are trapped, a soul is trapped within a body. It has no place to go but up here. And what this does is you put this in their lap, and it will actually visually bring up memories. This is for the ladies.
That's so pretty. How long does it take you to make one of those?
Like in a week. I work on them like in increments, and I kind of do like mass production sometimes when I really get in the mood. And I could probably make 25 or 30 in a week. So
did you start doing that while you were in the industry so that you could actually see people use them?
I did, and people did have them, and I would order them through these companies, but they were really plain. They just had a pocket and a zipper, and I'm like, I'm gonna make themed.
No.
I'm gonna. Families would tell me what they would like. Like my husband used to fish. He used to ride horses. We used to be. He used to raise cattle. So I would create the blanket within that frame.
Thank you for sharing that too. I did not know that until this video. So
I know.
I was like, what? I thought we've covered it all. I'm gonna have to edit the intro now and add Alzheimer blanket maker. Side note though, do you mind if I ask a personal question that just popped in my head? My question is related to children in your family, right? So you mentioned when you grew up this whole aspect of religion, like I've talked about, but really you tapping into more spiritualness versus Christianity. How does that affect your decision when you have kids and like your family dynamic of how you help them understand, you know, spirituality or religion, or like what choice they have in that matter or not, or how does that work when you have your own children and you're in this kind of journey?
Yes. I actually was just talking to my kids the other day about that. So my oldest is 28. I have a 22-year-old. He's going to be 23. And then I have a 17-year-old daughter. So when I was young, my mother used to leave a Bible on the table. And it wasn't like we grew up very religious where we had to go to church every Sunday. But my mother wanted us to be aware of that. And I commend her so much for that, because seeing the things I have in my life and being on that spiritual aspect within me that I was very curious. So I took it upon myself to read that Bible growing up that was on our coffee table in the living room. And later on, I asked my mom if I could have a Bible for Christmas. And my first Bible was actually purchased at the Salvation Army.
I love that. Hey.
And you know what? We were not a very wealthy family, but I had just the spirit.
Hey, love is the wealth.
Like, and I made it a cover for it, and it was just something very personal to me. That and I wasn't, and I don't consider myself ever being religious, because what I brought out of that, what I read from the Bible, was very spiritual to me and went straight to my heart.
How do you translate that when you have kids then? Like, was this a conversation you had? Is it something that's organic? Is it something, how did you do your best then understanding it's not about kind of what they need to believe in or what they need to do as far as like a regimen, but again, showing them this awareness and how to practice that?
Right. In raising my kids, I always had the Bible available, just as my mom did to me, and I never asked them to read it. I just made them aware of it. I brought up spiritual aspects of and moralistic compass, as far as putting that within your family, and I think intrinsically within each of us, we already know the direction we're going. That is my perception anyway, that our soul already knows what's moral, what it needs to do, because love is originally what we're made out of anyway. And I let them find their own way. Kids are just smarter than we give them credit for.
Absolutely.
They already know their own way. They really do.
Yeah. And sometimes they're more like sound in judgment than adults are. I'm like, what? How did that come out of your little brain in person? Like, you're right. They're right.
Yeah. So in raising my kids, they're very independent now. They're very aware of what's going on in this world. Very aware. And they are so much smarter than I ever was at their age.
It's really inspiring and hopeful and promising to understand that each new generation of these kids right now, they're also being activated and growing in light and sharing this universal message, and it's starting to pick up pace faster than it's ever felt like energetically before. It's part of kind of this larger collective thing that's happening. Whatever you believe this thing is, like you said, it's palpable right now, like in this space that we're all in, and our children have a huge part to do with that right now.
Yeah, I like to bring up too that they're able to juggle more than we can. Their souls are able to incorporate and juggle so much in within their brain, within their soul, that I think a lot of us in these earlier generations just weren't able to, because we had a certain style of soul. Anyway, I don't know how to say that.
Yeah, I can get that.
But they're coming in and able to juggle so many different dimensional aspects of this life that they're living in this day and age, with technology, with family, with just
breaking boundaries and paradigms.
Exactly, breaking these paradigms of what we never had, and even then we were breaking paradigms before that, within. It's almost like we're just cracking this huge egg coming along.
And it's generational, what you're talking about, like even ancestral. Like you said, if you believe in all these different lifetimes, it's energetic work that way. Like it's literally your physical DNA and makeup of these children, and it's only going to keep getting stronger and stronger as this lineage goes.
Yeah, and speaking of DNA, I think we're incorporating that within the physical DNA of each and every one of us, as we're passing it through generation to generation. I think there's a recent video I made about our children being the future and our legacy. And they're more than a future in our legacy. They actually are us. And our children are us, our grandchildren are us, if you want to connect in that way, because we're actually taking the DNA from way back when, pushing it forward, pushing the paradigms, and what I call ascension, because ascension, we can see it as this like blink of an eye transformation, which I think that could be another episode. But in the all seeing eye and the different realms, I think everything has already happened, and it's already happened in a blink of an eye. But yet we're seeing it in this linear click, click, click of the time clock. And everything that's happened way back when, before the world was created, is a slow, arduous process. This is the ascension, the slow, arduous process of where we started out way back when, where we're going to be years from now, and how we are going to spend within our physical matter. It's very slow and arduous in linear time, but in the time clock of what we call the creator, it's happened already. So
that's so interesting. I know, it's so much. Like, another spiritual lesson in all of this, just as people listen, it's more like, sometimes it's just like relaxed, because some of this information for our just human brain could make you like physically combust right now. Like I almost just drooled listening to that, and I almost just physically combusted because my brain was like, whoa, what are these concepts? What is this? Because yes, like you can kind of follow along sometimes with these spiritual ideologies and way of thinking, but like our physical brain and these bodies can't honestly understand the magnitude of what it is we're talking about here. So it's so crazy sometimes, where even when you do understand these concepts or believe in them and want to learn more about them, like it's just so much that our brains like not even physically capable of it. It's the same process internally. Like we're not equipped that way. It has to be this click by click by click, even for us, which happens in our own unique experiences, which is like what we talked about earlier, like a synchronistic moment where it clicks, or like those moments in your life where some bigger piece of that puzzle makes sense all of a sudden, and that's just one click for you, and you have your whole life for a million more little clicks for this larger scheme. Like that's the name of the game here, just to make sure things keep clicking as you go here. But there, you know what? Did that make sense?
Oh, Totally. It's like, you know what? I think it has to be slow. It has to be slow within this physical body. We're waiting for this physical body to catch up to where our soul wants to be. And we can't push it. It's like it's like jumping over a ditch. We can't just jump from here to there. We're going to learn all this stuff in between. If we don't learn it, then, and our body doesn't
not get to the other side.
We're not even going to get it. We're not going to understand it at all. And so we have to understand the in between little steps to understand when we do get there. I just want to send this message real quick. I got this recent vision, I should say, and it was kind of mind-boggling to me. And I'm hoping it'll make sense when I say it.
I'm here for it.
It's a bit mind-boggling. It's really interesting, but it did make me just break down in tears because I actually understood it. And because it does take time. And there was time where I couldn't understand a lot of stuff I'm talking about. I would think I was a total crazy person.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. If people watch this, they're going to be like, what happened to Abby? What was Abby like? Because this is so far from the person I used to be like, yes, ascension systems and the universe and linear time. They're going to be like, what?
I mean, if I was talking to myself when I was a teenager, I'd be going, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Talking to myself a year ago, not even as a teenager. I'm like, wow, I've come a long way in a year. Wow.
Well, a recent vision I had was my angels talking with me and understanding that our angels are us. And we could say this is like a time machine type of thing, but it's even beyond that, of course, because machine and spirit is a time machine. That what we are going through now on this plane of existence and in our bodies, and our angels that are coming through us and where we are, like I said, it happening in the blink of an eye.
Yeah.
This is going to be a little bit paradoxical.
Okay.
When I say it, but where our angels now, and the angels speaking to us right now, if you think of our angels as us, as we are literally, they are us. And they are looking at themselves within a dimensional aspect, saying, okay, I'm going to start crying because this is we cannot be who we are at this moment until you complete what you are in the now.
Wow. So even from that perspective, like it's that whole idea of you're just one little piece of a puzzle that's just not your own puzzle. Like you actually, this is a bigger impact that is just beyond your even mind to fathom. That like you're someone, an angel's dependent on your ascension journey to complete your mission for them to complete theirs, because you are each other and you each have this mission for each other. What?
Right.
What?
So we could say, okay, I want out of this, and I'm going to take myself out. You know, when you think about in that concept, that might be helpful to some people to say, you can't take yourself out of it because
it matters.
You cannot.
It matters.
That spiritual realm cannot be what it is and where you think you're going to go until you complete what you are right now.
Wow, that is deep. That is deep. I'm going to be waking up at like 3 a.m. thinking about that. Like, I am my angel. My angel is me. I already see it. I'm not getting sleep tonight because I'm going to be like,
okay. I know it's a bit mind-boggling, and it's like a paradox, and it's like, holy cow, how do you even wrap your brain around that? I think it can, though. I think that's where we're going. I think we're going to be able to wrap our brain around it and understand it here in the not too distant future. And right now we're just contemplating that thought, you know.
Yeah.
So,
that's an interesting perspective. Actually, I can't remember what video I was watching of yours, but in the description it was talking about your higher self and your first kind of understanding that you had this kind of power that you thought was outside of yourself, where you knew it wasn't coming from you, certain messages and things like that, but it was kind of this clickable moment for you where you said, oh, this is actually my higher self. It's been me all along. This is how I receive these messages. This is how I understand and have those moments of insight. And can you just talk me through your understanding of what the higher self is to you and what that means, and even just a little bit about that like insight when that happened, where you realized, wait, it's not something outside of me, it is me, kind of like this whole angel perspective. It's not anything out here. Everything is me.
Yes. I started going back into my 20s. I started channeling, doing automatic writing, and getting these visuals and actual information coming through that I felt like at the time was separate from myself, my higher self or my higher guides coming through. And so I was able to clear my mind and I was writing all kinds of information. And this is actually going to be another novel I'm going to be having published here soon. I just got to type it in. Anyway.
You have to type your automatic writing.
I do. It's going to take a while. But so I saw that as a separate part of myself, and for many years, and not understanding that our higher self is, okay, this is talking about that other aspect of ourself, our angels and guides that they are coming, we think are coming through, are actually us. And connecting that.
Yeah, that makes sense. That just puts it for me. That makes sense.
And for us to connect that it takes time for the body to adjust to that. And that's where I think of Jacob and the angel. You think of all these concepts of these master teachers taught over the years of us struggling with this inner concept of what we are, like Jacob and the angel, ego and spirit, Satan and God, and all of these aspects clashing together. Coming to this understanding in my life now is, it wasn't necessary for us to clash with them. What we need to do is accept that part of ourself is actually us and not separate from us. And understanding that although it's difficult, and although it's probably the most fearful and scary things that we can do in our life to try to integrate that part of ourself into our soul awareness, that this is part of what this journey is about. The biggest part, actually. And connecting that we're not separate from the Creator. We are actually a part of Him. And what is in us, and our soul is Him. Although it's a fractal piece of Him, it is Him, and it's totally divine within itself. And
oh my God, yes.
And we were never separate from it. We were never separate from it. We thought we were separate, and that's the difference between thought and the ego and Satan and all of those other things that we considered separate from us. Was only a thought. It only took that thought and our spirit to connect and say, we create our thoughts.
You just nailed that. Boom, just mic drop. Just mic drop. If I had a mic, I would just let it go right here.
Lately, I just, you have to let it go. You have to let go all concepts and perceptions and judgments to even get to this state of thinking. Because if you have judgment's going to prevent you from knowing any kind of knowledge that is already within you to know. And it's already there. It's within each individual. They already know all this stuff. Everybody does.
I know. It's just so hard to explain concepts, because even if you just subconsciously listen to people talk about it, I'm sure I've done it in this video or every video I've ever done, but there is this layer of always talking about it as if it's something outside of us. It's always like a higher self sounds like it's not us, or it, or spirituality, or this thing that you have to attain, like that's out here somewhere to attain. Even with love, that's how we treat all of these things. And it is just it's the most simple concept, like we said, and the hardest concept to grasp, that you are all of these things. Like it is already you. You are it. You are everything. You are love. You are your higher self. You are your spiritual guidance. You are divinity. You are the universe. You are God. You are love. I could go on. You are this cup. Like this came from a thought. Like we are everything. You know what I mean? Like
it's everything.
It's crazy, but it's just a constant struggle where we talk about like ego and your higher self or intuition. But at the end of the day, it's that accountability you brought up earlier. You're responsible for which which way you get tugged and pulled in that battle that you're talking about, because it's yourself you're battling with ultimately.
Right.
So which battle, which war do you want to choose, you know?
Yeah, which war do you want to choose? And then again, do you have to choose? And if it's a choice, then you can make whatever choice you want to make, and don't feel any guilt in it, because you can't bring guilt back with you in any of it. Guilt is what will separate you from all of your choices. You can choose to do anything you want, except the repercussions of those choices is what your soul's going to have to live with. And and when you consider the only thing that you really are going to take back with you is love, why would you want to delve into anything else but love?
Yeah.
It's
food for thought, man. This is so much food for thought. To wrap this all up, I think there were so many pieces of advice and wisdom throughout this whole conversation, so thank you. But what are some parting words for the audience?
If you're watching this, you already pretty much are in that spiritual aspect where you're discovering who you are and what this life's about. And I would just have to say my little spiel of words, or my mantra, you should say, is life is what you make it.
Thank you, and thank you. This conversation was just good for the soul overall. Just being able to speak with you and connect with you and learn from you. Honestly, the pleasure has been mine. So thank you for taking the time to be on this channel and to be part of this video with me. I really, truly appreciate that. And I appreciate you.
Thank you, Abby. Oh, God, I want to thank you, too. And I was so nervous. You could probably see, I don't know.
I was like, I'm not Oprah. Don't be nervous.
I know.
I'm flattered, but this is going to be very informal.
I just got a little flustered when but I'm good. I'm good to go. But thank you.
You did an amazing job, because you know why? You just were you, and that's why it was amazing. Literally, again, all you have to do is just show up and be you. Message for everyone watching: just be yourself, and it's good enough. I promise. Right. Thank you so much. I will link all of Mountain Rain's information in the box below. Definitely go check out her YouTube channel, all her beautiful videos, and make sure that you go buy her book, which I'm actually going to do right now. So we'll see you next time. Thank you all for watching. What the heck am I saying?
We're good to go now. And I forgot where I was going with that question. Holy cow. I was waiting for it to be fun, because I'm like, okay, I'm going to get on here. I'm going to screw this all up. And then I'm going to say, Judy, we'll do it later. And then she'll never get in touch with me again.
I'm like, wait, I'm going to have to start over.
I'm like, I don't know.
You look so nervous.
Take
What's
care.
That?
I said it was
bye.
good to be here with you. Bye.
What's happening?
Now if I can get off.